He's my guy now, though.
Yeah. So so Colin was my guy in game day. And then when Will started Neckscars, I was like, well, Colin's your guy now. So like,
He's my guy.
He's his guy. So like any like the bullshit we got to deal with Colin, I'm like, that's your guy.
Will and Justin of the band Neckscars, welcome to the Question the Answers podcast. How are you guys doing?
Good.
What's up, Andy? How are you?
Good. Yeah. So Will and Justin are members of the band Neckscars, who actually are working with Sell the Heart Records, which I'm really stoked on. We are releasing your guys' full-length debut, Don't Panic, which has already been properly released, but we're still waiting for the vinyl to come out. We're hoping for the end of July to get those in. But man, it's a really great record. I was really stoked to get in touch with you guys. And well, actually, you guys reached out to me by word of mouth from Jeff Dean, who was in the band Heavy Seas. And I thought that was really great that we could kind of, make this kind of work from that word of mouth perspective. But yeah, pleasure to have you guys on the show. What are you guys up to right now?
At the Cobblestone
Purchase, New York.
Some beers.
It's 25, 30 minutes outside of New York City. We practice. Our drummer, actually, his family owns this place. So we practice in the loft garage across the street. And we have to do that in like 2 hours. So it just felt like the right place to do it. We filmed our music video here too for Jarring. So and this place has been like a home for me. I went to college in this town, so I've been coming here for over 20 years. So
that's tight. I mean, gosh, what a burden to have like a really cool bar right next to your practice spot, right?
Yeah, like in the parking lot.
In the parking lot.
Yeah. What are you guys drinking, by the way? Like what beer?
Yingling.
Ah, nice. The East Coast standard. Yeah.
The first brewery, Pottstown, Pennsylvania.
That's right. Yeah. I whenever so Tsunami Bomb has gone out and played in Philadelphia a few times, and we played at the Kung Fu Necktie. And every time we go there, they give us like a big old case of Yingling, and we're just like, oh, this is great, because I mean, for being like an older, kind of more traditional style beer that's not like full of a bunch of like, it's not like super hoppy or anything like that. It's like a good sturdy beer. Yeah.
Yeah, it was my first really good tasting beer, because other than that, it was Natty Light or Michelob, whatever, or PBR or Peels. That was my Yingling was like, oh, this is a cheap, good beer.
Right. Yeah. Justin, you're kind of a beer guy, right? Like you do like a lot of like the beer tastings, and do you brew your own beer?
Yeah. A bunch of my buds work at the Hudson Valley Brewery, and they get a lot of different breweries go through there and stuff like that. So, we got some good beer stores and Beacon, stuff like that. Good like beer bars. So yeah.
For the video, they actually were cool enough to give us their pills in a blank can, so we wouldn't have to. It wouldn't have like a proper like company on it.
Right.
That's
cool.
Yeah, blank cans.
Yeah, that video for the song. So the song "Jarring" is the lead single that we released from "Don't Panic," and that video is really cool because it's like you guys. For anyone who hasn't seen it. You guys are kind of biking. Well, you're kind of biking around, and then everyone kind of meets up, and everyone else is on bikes, and then Craig shows up in like his van, but you guys end up playing a live set at the bar. And yeah, it's a great song. It's a really fun video. It's kind of nice little storyline, almost like oh shit, what did I do? Kind of storyline. I think we'll add it at the end of the podcast. But no, that's cool that there's like so much history tied with that location with the band. And now Purchase, you said is like 30 minutes outside of New York City, right?
Yeah, and it's funny, like, because like you literally go a half a mile up the road, you're in Greenwich, Connecticut. So it's like, I think that's been like the big selling point, because like SUNY Purchase is like an arts college, and I went to Manhattanville And it's just like when I remember going here, you're 30 minutes from New York City. And they're like, when they say that though, but you're really 30 minutes from the Bronx, and that's where I live.
Right.
But,
okay.
You're about like 40, 50 minutes to Manhattan proper, but it's it's great over here. I've had so many different jobs, and I've been at my job 9 years up the road here, and it's just like, this is like another home for me. It's all mansions here now. If I could afford to live here, I think I would.
Right.
It's like close enough to the city, and it's like you're right outside. You're in the middle of like, kind of like, it's open over here, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton of experience being out in New York. You know, I've been to New York City a few times, and I've been to like the upstate area where, you know, our keyboard player lives. We were talking about this. She lives over in Phoenicia area, but yeah, it's funny to think about like the geographic situation in New York, because New York City is so huge and it sprawls out to, you know, up to the Bronx, even though the Bronx is like its own neighborhood, and within the Bronx there's like little micro hoods, obviously, but then once you get out of the Bronx and you're no longer in like New York City proper, it still almost feels like you're in New York anyway, right?
Yeah, completely. I live 3 miles from Westchester County. I'm right by the Westchester County border. I live in the Bronx. It's so northeast, and it's like, it's definitely like, I'm in the center of like every highway to get to anywhere. I'm like right by both bridges to Long Island. I'm like right by both bridges to go. But me and Justin Justin lives in Beacon, but we used to live together in Beacon, New York, which is 45 minutes from here. And like, that's like its own city in itself now, like its own town in itself now. So it's definitely like, you have a lot of different things going on, especially in Phoenicia. There's like, ever since the pandemic, there seems like there's so much more going on further north, like Kingston, Newburgh, you know, everyone from the city left and moved up to those areas because they just wanted to get away.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, you know, because I remember Oubliette was telling us about there was a huge exodus, you know, from the city up into those more remote areas. Did your specific, I mean, well, you live in the Bronx, and Justin, you said you live in Beacon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did the Bronx and Beacon see a huge exodus?
Oh, Beacon was out of control. I just bought a house in Beacon a few months ago, but like we got lucky. Yeah. So fucking, yeah, all these people were coming up and just buying houses cash. They were, you know, going over the selling price. You know, people would be like in contract, and people would just come in and swoop it up fucking because they had more money. And yeah, it was wild. So yeah, I got lucky. Somebody dropped out of the house that we were looking at, and we just came in last minute.
Well, looks like oh, there we go. Yeah, we lost your video for a second, but that's cool. No, I mean, congratulations. I mean, I know that the housing market is just bonkers right now. My wife and I were actually looking to try to move out to the East Coast, and unfortunately things didn't work out. But I think right now we're just kind of holding back, waiting for the market to not be as crazy. But no, I mean, that's rad. I mean, I'd love to know a little bit more about like the history of what brought Neckscars together. I mean, it sounds like you guys kind of have a history going back before the band started, but, you know, give me just like a short synopsis of like what brought you guys together for this new project.
So me and Craig have been talking about doing a band for quite some time, since me and Justin and Colin were in a band called Game Day Regulars. And me and Craig, since I would come into this bar like every day, we was talking about doing a project together. And there was a time where we actually got together and jammed. And then like with Game Day, it just kind of was left like a little, like we just stopped playing. There was really like, we knew what the problems were, but we never talked about it. I just started another band I played in another hardcore band called Crippled Urn. Justin plays in Social Standards. Colin's in 2 projects. So we just decided, like, I started writing these songs, and I hit Colin up, and he was interested. And I was like, you know, I used to live with Justin, and like I always liked his guitar playing, so it was like he was down to come down. You know, life moved a little differently because we were like playing in that band, and then like next thing you know, we're getting married and we have lives. So it was like they were all committed to like making this work, and they liked the ideas. And then just we started getting to practice. And next thing you know, we recorded a demo, and then we went into Nada to record a full length, and then took it from there. And then it's really like, you know, I'm really grateful to be reunited with these guys, Colin and Justin, and Craig adds a whole another dynamic to the situation with his drumming. So
yeah, so I brought Colin into game day regulars. We needed a bass player. So
he's my guy now, though.
Yeah. So so Colin was my guy in game day. And then when Will started Neckscars, I was like, well, Colin's your guy now. So like
He's my guy.
He's his guy. So like any like the bullshit we got to deal with Colin, I'm like, that's your guy.
I do.
That's your guy. That's your guy. Used to be my guy. Now you're on the hook.
He's with me.
Yeah. It's like the parents like saying like, oh, this is your child, you know, like when they fuck up, you know? Yeah. Well, and bass players, like let's face it, you know. But no, I mean, Colin, we love you, dude. No,
he's an only child.
Oh well, okay. Well, there you go. Yeah, it's like he's a bass player and an only child. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And my cycling buddy.
Oh, okay. Right.
But we ride hard.
Oh, right on. Yeah. Speaking of cycling, yeah, I mean that seems to be like something kind of like a theme that you guys have been incorporating with like the band. You know, so within the video for Jarring, you have this whole section where you guys are riding bikes, and you know you're dressed in like the actual like racing type of like, you know, real biking gear. And then you know we produced this shirt for you guys that has like the 10 speed or like, you know, the road bike. And I mean, is that just something that you guys have been like all doing, you know, with your adult lives?
So here's this. I used to loathe being behind those guys dressed in the bike kits, and up here, this is cycling town up here. Mm-hmm. You know, every guy's got like a $5,000 bike in there, and because I personally used to ride like single speeds or beach cruisers. I love bikes. Me and Colin both love bikes. During the pandemic, I was like, you know what? I want to get really into shape again. I want to get into this. I'm going to buy a road bike. I went to the bike store. There was a shortage. They had a road bike. It was in my price point, and I got like into it. Like I did like a 70-mile ride. Like I'm super into road biking like now, and I'm like, that's like, aside from guitars, that's all I want to buy. And it's really fun. And like, but aside from that, so I was like super into it. And then it was like, the weather was kind of getting better, but that day was so cold, and I had to like wear all sorts of gear on top of what I would normally wear. And yeah, we just we ended up incorporating that into it. And we're like, we all love drinking beers, so it was like, it just made sense. Let's go to Craig's bar, and I'll be the fitness guy, and then you know, I'm gonna turn over and become a mess.
Yeah, I guess the idea of the video was that Will was gonna be like, you know, out cycling like for his health, and like me and Colin were supposed to show up with beers and be like, hey man, you know, like how you're trying to stay in shape. Yeah, we're actually going to the bar. Let's go.
Right. Yeah.
And then Craig's supposed to be like the guy that like is just like so disappointed in us all, like shows up, he's like, you guys suck, and then he like throws us in the van.
Well, and adding that extra context now that like he's actually affiliated with the bar, it's almost just like, guys, come on, you know, like this is my bar, you can't like do this, you know, in my bar.
and Craig also has been bartending here since for over 20 years now, and he doesn't drink. Like he's not like, it's not like he just doesn't drink. He's not a drinker. So he personally does not like, he can't deal with like crazy, weird drunk people. So it was perfect.
Yeah. Well, you know, and so I know Craig's not here to talk about it, but you know, I'm really intrigued by the history that he has as a professional drummer. Cause like he's played with like some pretty well-known bands that have gone on and done like all sorts of crazy big tours. Like I know he plays in another band currently that features the saxophone player from Morphine. Like,
he was also in Dan. He did a couple tours with Dan Vapid and the Cheats.
Right.
Because he's all connected with like Wimpy from the Queers up in Maine. Because Craig's also got like, he's in several bands in Maine. He was also in Paranoid Social Club. And he's also in a band called The Connection, and he also plays with Kurt Baker from The Leftovers. So he's like he's as New England as it gets, and his mom's from Maine, so that's why he has that kind of
yeah. And like, well, I remember seeing in his Instagram feed him posting, you know, about these old shows that he had done. Like, I guess one of his old bands went on tour with John Entwistle from The Who.
Yeah, Joni's Butterfly.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's awesome.
That was like I mean, Craig has been playing music since 1989.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
I started like getting into guitar in like 95 and like 97, I guess I was like sort of able to like be in like a, like, you know, your first punk band.
Sure.
And yeah. And then like, yeah, he's definitely, and he's like, music is his thing, man. He went to music. He went to college. We went to Berkeley. He's does a lot of different other stuff. He's a very good drummer.
He's the guy that'll be like, yeah, you know, I was playing shows with Foo Guys, you know, before you were in kindergarten.
Right.
Yeah, he's definitely.
You know, it's funny. I've never spoken to him. Does he actually speak like that?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say, please let that be the case, because I kind of want that like stereotypical like New York. You know, it's like, hey, you know, hey guys, you know, it's like.
He's whatchamacallit, done so there's a venue here called the Capitol Theater, but he back in the day when we were kids, like the first shows in this area that I went to were a place called 7 Willow Street, and like it was like, but I think he was in a band called Plainside, and they opened up for, or Joni's Butterfly might have, they opened up for like Face to Face on their first, they were like the support for Big Choice tour and stuff like that. And he worked at the Capitol Theater, and the Capitol Theater I saw in the 90s. That was one of my first like small, like the first show I went to was a Garden, but I saw Bad Religion and Goldfinger there. And then they closed down for many years, and Peter Shapiro, that owns the Brooklyn Bowl, bought that venue, and now it's opening back up again. They have a lot of like the Lemonheads are coming through, and a bunch of really cool bands. It was mostly, they're predominantly like a jam band place, but they've allowed like some really great like other stuff come through, like, you know, Jason Isbell and like Social Distortions played there, Lucero's played there. So
Dinosaur Jr. in the small room there.
Yeah, wow, that's been super loud.
Oh, dude, they blew a fucking fuse. The fucking power went out mid solo. It was amazing.
Dude, that band
they didn't even mic any of the guitars. They didn't mic like any of that, and the drummer was right in front of the stage, like in front of everything.
Yeah, no fighting the sound guy that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it, dude. Negative Approach played too, right?
Oh yeah, Easy Action, his other band, and they did a bunch of Negative Approach songs like as the encore.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. I
sick.
mean, it's great to know that like some of these venues are still around, you know, because unfortunately that's kind of the way it goes, is like a venue will exist for X number of years, and you know everyone will come through, but then I mean it's really hard to keep a venue afloat, you know, because like especially if you're trying to do all ages shows, because like all ages shows have like the rules around like, you know, the way you can handle booze and everything, and so you know that's why a lot of these clubs don't do all ages shows anymore, because they rely on booze sales, and they don't want to have the liability of being caught selling underage, and so
100%.
It's hard.
Our dear friend Mike Terry from Jukebox Romantics, actually, he's a bartender at the Capitol at Garcia's, where at the venue we were just talking about, and like I think they're like, he's been working, he told me he's been there on and off for certain things and stuff. Like they're reopening, so it's really cool. And I know the community, because I work at a restaurant that is 3 miles away. Everyone wants it back. Like there's so many people that are like, yeah, like they come to me like, yeah, I saw like the Marcus King band play there. It was like, you know, it was such a great night. And they're like so happy, because it's like there's so many like residential neighborhoods in Portchester, so it's a very easy, and from New York City, the train station's right there.
Right. That's awesome. You know, one of the things I wanted to ask you guys about is in relation to your guys' songs from this new album. Well, I mean, everything that you guys have written for Neckscars, it seems to translate really well to acoustic music. Now, is it safe to assume that you wrote the majority of these songs like on an acoustic guitar, or?
I'd say about like 60% of them. I know Colin and Justin brought some to the table too, and I know Colin and I are both acoustic players. Like I think, and like when I do a show that's acoustic with Neckscars, I bring him along because he really enjoys doing it, and he's a really great acoustic player.
I don't even own an acoustic guitar.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely. that's always been like a thing for me though, to be able to just, I guess like putting bands together was always kind of, sometimes it never worked out, or it was always hard to get people to like lock in to do stuff. And then like having an acoustic guitar, you can always do it. Like, even if it's like a show that like you want to do and the band can't do it, but you can do it, and they'll throw you on first. And it's just like, so I think that's always been important for me to be able to play a set bare bones and stripped down and stuff. And I really do enjoy doing, for a while with the record, I definitely was sending the guys like the vocals and an acoustic so they could hear it better, as opposed to tracking it, yelling and loud with like a GarageBand or Logic demo. So I was sending them like this. I'm like, here's the lyrics. And then I'd write out the lyrics for them and be like, yeah, this is it. What do you think? What do you want to change? Anything? Is there anything that you want to do? Because Neckscars is definitely it's not my project. It's not like my songwriting baby. It's like our project.
Right.
That's how I wanted this band. I didn't want to be like the sole songwriter. I do write the lyrics, but like I wanted everybody's input to be equally of value.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd say in general it's pretty collaborative. You know, like even if he writes like the bare bones, like I'm not going to play what he's playing, and you know, I think they started jamming before I even jammed with them, and they sent me "Let You Down."
Yeah.
And so they sent me like a demo, and I just fucking threw it in GarageBand, and I wrote all my guitar parts and showed up to the first practice. And
yeah, and I think because since we played in bands together, and Craig was already familiar, but it was just like, oh wow, this guy knows what he's doing. I'm like, yeah, he's been working on it, you know.
Right.
So, yeah.
No, that's cool. I mean, with relation to the question, you know, a lot of like punk rock bands, right? When they try to, you know, translate songs to acoustic, it doesn't always fare very well, you know. But
tell me about it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not so much like because the songs are bad. It's just more like, well, I mean, the energy's gone, right? Like yeah. Some songs are just meant to be played very fast, very loud on electric guitars with tons of distortion. But like, I thought it was really pretty awesome that I know that you guys have released a couple of songs on acoustic on Spotify, and I've heard a few of the other tracks that have not been released on acoustic, which may or may not see the light of day at some point. But do you think that that's something that you might try to do more of, like as like an accompaniment to anything that you were to do in like a more filled out capacity, like kind of like doing an acoustic version of each track? Like,
well, that's always been like, so I'm a big Armchair Martian fan, Drag the River fan, and Armchair Martian, one thing I loved about them, they would always give like their record, and then sometimes John would throw 12 songs in a 4-track, and like it would be like, wow, these are the stripped down live versions. And I love that, but I don't know, I definitely I love playing acoustic, and I love like even like adding accompaniment to it, whether it be like a spacey guitar or a pedal steel or even like an accordion or something. But I don't know, I don't think we're there as a band yet. Like it's just like we put out this is our first proper release with you and Sell the Heart, so we're still like getting our feet wet, and like, you know, like, but we do try, there are acoustic guitars on Don't Panic and 12-string electric, you know, we definitely love those overtones and stuff like that. Me and Colin push for them. Justin's like,
yeah. I will say this: the production of that record is awesome. Who was it that you worked with again on the production side of things?
John Niclario, not a recording. He's in Montgomery, New York. He used to be in Newburgh. He used to be in a band called Lounge. Back in the day, they were like.
You remember Lounge, right, Andy? Do you?
I can't say that I do.
No. Oh, really? Oh, okay. No. Well, like the Next to Nothing dudes, they were like heavily associated. They would play a lot of shows with them.
Okay. I used to see them all the time. I was a fanboy. I used to go to Coney Island High in Manhattan and go see them in Cooter, Autopilot Off.
Yeah. I remember Cooter. Cooter's the best name ever. I remember Autopilot Off. And then, yeah, it's so funny, like Next to Nothing, because those were like my boys back in the day, you know, and I think it's so great that the world is this small, you know, that, you know, 20 some odd years later, it's like somehow it's like we're bringing it back. Next to Nothing. Orange County, New York. You know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, my old band, Your Day Strong, 20 years ago, we, towards the end of our playing, we used to play with Next to Nothing, and they were like, I guess, like on the way out too. And we'd play shows with them, and we became like friends with them. They were just like such like sweethearts, and we're like, oh, these guys are awesome. And we're punk rock dudes, so it was like awesome. These guys sound like bigwig.
Yeah. I mean, because you know, you have Dan, you got Richie, you got Paul, and you got Mike Hoban, and I can't remember who their other bass player before Mike came in, but yeah, it's just it's so nice to like know that those guys, you know, just did it for as long as they did. And like I know Richie's still playing professionally. I think he like moved to like Tennessee or something like that.
In Nashville, I think.
Nashville. He's like a pro drummer, like doing like totally pro gigs like all the time. And I think Dan's like a family man now. I don't know what Paul's really up to, but Hoban lives in like
Paul's shredding. I don't know
wherever he is, he's
shredding.
Always shredding. Yeah. Like seriously. Yeah, that dude just shredded a Strat like no other. They were always like the best band to see, and like and I've seen them. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen them. They were just always like, they're so fun. And whenever you heard their song on a comp, it was like, these guys rule. Yeah.
Just like
very, very fun band. I have some really great memories with those guys. So, but that's cool that there's that connection. Yeah, you know, you guys have actually played a couple of shows. Or at least you've played one show since the pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how was it? I mean, you know, because we're kind of slowly but surely jumping back in. And I ask, like, how was it with respect to not so much like how did you play? It was more like, how did it feel? Like, was it comfortable? Like, did it seem like it was all good? Like, was there any kind of weirdness involved?
It was outdoors.
Yeah, I think the weirdest part was they stuck us under like a small tent,
Warped Tour tent.
Yeah, but like other than that, like it was back to business.
All our friends came out. We had a good time.
There was nothing like, oh man, I haven't played a show in a while. What's this gonna feel like? You know, it was just like we're setting up, we're playing. We've been practicing for how long? Like that's all shows are. It's just practice in front of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Our good friend Evan Cohen owns the Green Growler in Croton Harmon, and he set it up. He asked us to play, and it just happened to work out on the release date. And people had a good time, and we got to play with our friends, and it was definitely a great first show back. And you know, I definitely we were all like pretty amped to be doing it again. And I played a couple shows with my other band over the course of the last couple months, but like this was really great for us to play together. It was like a minute, so we're really amped this weekend. We have a couple shows with Jukebox Romantics, and so that's something we're pretty pumped on. And we're gonna be playing indoors, which it'll be interesting. Yeah,
because I mean, it really does seem like, you know, for the most part across the country, and I mean even in other parts of the world, that we're essentially getting back to, you know, the normal business as usual. Like we're going to have shows, we're going to open the indoor shows, like we'll have outdoor shows and everything. And, you know, I know that different areas are kind of doing different things with the restrictions and everything, but so far it feels like it's working okay, you know, and that there hasn't been like a significant, you know, spike in cases. And even if there is, like, it seems like, I mean, not to put people on blast, but it seems like the people that aren't being vaccinated are the ones that are getting sick again, you know? So
yeah, that's 100% what it is. I'm constantly getting alerts now that the number is like going down each week on the transmission rate. So it's been really good. And it's, I guess for all of us, it seems like, you know, we're all vaccinated, but it just puts our mind at ease, you know?
Right.
You know, I just don't, at the end of the day, it's like, we want it to be like, punk rock's always been a safe space. So it's just, even with that, we just want to keep it like that.
Right.
But yeah, and I definitely, the people who set it up were pretty on board with that. So it's like, so it was really great we love Jukebox, Mike and them. So they have a new lineup now, so it's gonna be great to play these shows with them.
Nice. With relation to the record itself, is there any like major themes that you like kind of write about with the music?
Definitely, I don't know. I think like, in other bands, it was really hard to like really get a lot of traction with, you know, putting out like a full length. It was a really hard thing for me to do, and it's just nothing. So it's definitely this, and like, you know, I definitely had like a lot of like, you know, personal and family struggles, and like a lot of other struggles with people, addiction, and relationships. I just felt like this record was the one I needed to put it all on the table. And I don't know, these guys definitely helped me get there with it and stuff like that. And it was a pretty fluid process. And like now I'm like making music again. Like it's been a minute to actually. So this record definitely, you know, and the response has been really great. And with like our friends and people who have like bought it and stuff. So I definitely feel accomplished, and I definitely have like, I'm really like, now I'm like writing a bunch of other stuff, and it's really been a great period. Great period. The whole process, even the putting the record together with Sell the Heart has been like an amazing experience. So.
Well, yeah,
we were able to pump out the songs pretty fast. Like we fucking, you know, it'd be like we show up to a practice, we work on it, even if we're like, all right, we're struggling on this one. Like, you know, there was some stuff we were like, all right, this sucks. We'll throw it in the trash. Not a big deal. Like, it's not good enough. But
I didn't think Jarring would see the light of day.
Yeah.
Like, we rewrote it like so many times, and like Justin was really encouraging. He's like, well, you know, it's like if it doesn't make this one, it'll make the next one. And but I got into like, this needs to be done, and you know, get out of your head. A lot of it is getting out of your head, you know, and like, you know. That's really what it was.
Yeah, I think that song we practiced it maybe 2 practices.
I never would have
went to the studio.
Huh.
Yeah, I never would have thought it was going to be like the most streams in our first single. So.
Yeah, I mean it's I mean, you know, as somebody who genuinely like really likes all the songs on the album, that was certainly the one that kind of stood out. You know, to me, I was just like, dude, this is like a hitter, dude. Like it really hits. You know, and you know, it's so funny that you mentioned it's like we didn't really spend a ton of like headspace on it. We just kind of like, you know what, like we rewrote it a couple times, but ultimately we're just going to push it out there. And sometimes those are the best ones, man. I mean, you know, the ones that you just like, you know what, fuck it. Yeah. Yeah.
Even, the first song on the album, we barely put that together before we had to go to the studio to finish that one. That was another one we're like, okay. And then like when we were even in the studio, they were like, all right, let's stop. Let's go over this. Like, do you even know what you're doing? You know, and Colin's like, well, you know, I'm playing like this. And Will's like, well, you know what? Like, I just spent like last night in a hotel, like making this melody. So like, this is going to like stick to this. So let's work it out right now.
Yeah.
And fucking, we pounded it out. And I think like Craig played the wrong beat to the second verse. And we're like, no, that's actually what that should be the speed of the second verse. Like it was supposed to be halftime. And we're like, and he kept going fast. We're like, no, that's fucking it. Like we should keep it going fast. So like, yeah, it worked out pretty awesome.
It was like a very fluid under pressure situation. Yeah, that's the one thing that's been really great about working with these guys in this band is definitely like everyone's open to like the suggestions. There's no like it's my way or the highway. So, which is, you know, at the end of the day, you just want to keep your guys stoked. That's how I feel about every project, because it's like you have to go play these shows in front of people in a bar in front of like 10 people, and that can be rough in general. So let's have a good time doing it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so far the response to the record has been like really, really positive, and like, you know, people are obviously drawing comparisons to like Hot Water Music, Nothington. You know, people are saying like sometimes Leatherface or like Small Brown Bike, you know, that kind of thing. And it's kind of like that kind of, you know, gravelly vocals, kind of smoky vocals with like the heartfelt kind of introspective kind of like, for lack of a better word, like festcore, like, you know, orgcore kind of sound. I mean, I don't really even know if I know that.
Yeah, the next record we're gonna make for you is gonna be a pop one.
I love it. Let's just go. We'll go full Green Day. It'll be
not Green Day, electronic.
Oh, electronic.
I'm just kidding.
No, dude. You know what? Let's get weird. You know.
Let's go weird.
Yeah. We've already used guitars. We don't need any more guitars. It'll be all electronic. You know.
Said I'm out of the band.
Yeah. I mean, you could just pivot and become a ska band. I mean, ska seems to be like everywhere nowadays. So, you know.
Sick.
Yeah. But you know, Neckscars. You know.
Yeah, love it.
Bad one. But
you ever see Delocated?
I'm sorry.
Have you seen the TV show Delocated?
No, I haven't. No.
Oh, dude, it's so good. We'll talk about it later. It's so good. Okay. But there's an episode where he throws a bar mitzvah for his son, or his son like decides he wants to throw a bar mitzvah, but it's like a ska mitzvah.
Awesome.
And there's like all these great like ska puns, like Skazeltov. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, you're gonna have to throw the Neckscars shirt on the site. It's gonna happen.
Well, you know, you could always just do like an EP of ska versions, you know, of a couple of the songs and call it Neckscars.
I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I think Randy did that. You know the band Randy from Sweden?
Yeah, I remember Randy. Yeah, for sure.
They were Fat, right?
They eventually put out a record on Fat when they were like a rock and roll band, but like they did do a ska EP.
Yeah. Well, you know that I know, you know, Ska Tune Network. You know, have you heard of Ska Tune Network?
No, I haven't.
No. Yeah. Ska Tune Network is this individual, you know, who does a bunch of, you know, ska versions of like really popular songs.
Okay.
They have a YouTube channel, and it's blown up. You know, it's pretty huge actually. But their whole idea is that essentially they can take ska and, you know, make any song ska, which they're not wrong. You know, you can do that with kind of any genre really, but with ska, I think in particular, I know that part of the premise there is that, you know, historically ska did rely on like a lot of covers back in the day. And I don't know. I mean, I love ska. I think that if it's done tastefully and done well, like it actually translates really great, but sometimes it's kind of cringy. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like Less Than Jake was like they were one of the first bands I saw at Roseland, and like I was like, it was like a life-changing moment, the punk and ska together. And then like later in life, I was playing with my buddy Sammy K, and we went on tour with the Slackers, and that was amazing. Like those guys are incredible, and I think I have a full appreciation for it. Like definitely
yeah, when ska's done well, it's awesome, you know.
It's killer. Like, yeah, We Are the Union Rules. Like, any of the new bands I'm checking out, I'm digging it, and it's a good vibe. It's fun too. And
Streetlight.
Yeah, Streetlight. Like,
I mean, the Boss Tones.
Catch 22 was like the biggest thing in New Jersey when we were kids. Like at one point, like insane. Like
right. Yeah, and you know, it's so funny about a band like Catch 22. I know that I talked about this on a different episode with somebody, but like Catch 22 was just one of those bands that I never really got into, and you know, it wasn't from a lack of like not knowing who they were. I just never really had the bandwidth. But on the East Coast, they were just enormous, you know, like they were like the biggest thing. And it's just kind of weird how that plays out sometimes. But you heard it here, folks. Neckscars coming up. No, next album. I'll have it on vinyl for you soon. You know, and by soon I mean 2 years from now, because vinyl is completely backed up. But anyways, yeah, no, this is all awesome, dude, and like I appreciate you guys kind of sharing a little bit of the backstory of the band. So a couple of questions I like to throw out to every guest here. If you had to name a couple of artists, that maybe a couple each, that you think need to be on people's radars, who would they be?
Ooh, you want to start?
So these are like under like what about our friends bands maybe?
Yeah,
sure.
So
it can be anyone that you think is just a really great band that you think need to be on.
Tired Radio from Brooklyn. I mean, I love that record.
Yeah, I told Will, I watched like their music video, and they're just like fucking like smoking cigs, and like I was like, yo, Will, we gotta fucking play with these guys.
We became fast friends with those guys. We've like met, we've hung out, and like they're great guys. And I'm actually doing a show with we're playing with me and Anthony are playing Tired Radio Neckscars acoustic. We're playing with Brendan Kelly in Brooklyn on August 19th at the Arrogant Swine. And so yeah, I was like, I told the promoter, I was like, I just hit him up. I was like, can we both play this? And he was like, he only wants one. I'm like, so let Anthony play it. And he was like, well, they're not giving me an answer if they want one or two, so you're both playing it. So I was like, all right, awesome.
There you go.
So they're really great homies in American Thrills from Milford, Connecticut. I have a long history with those guys. I was in bands with those guys. They're really great. They're a Discount Casket 7 Inches Out. We're playing August 6th with them in Crunch House in Westport.
That new Oh the Humanity record, they're fucking sick.
Ditchin' record, dude. So
really good. Yeah, we're playing with them this week. They're fucking, that's very good.
Yeah, also
under the radar bands.
Under the radar, God Damn It from Philly, Eric Owns Creep. Great great songs. They got a new one coming out. Check out their old stuff on Spotify. And they're Old Dogs from Connecticut.
Oh, Dehumanizer's their name. Yeah.
Disqualifier. Really great, like really technical skate punk.
Yeah, they're cool. My hardcore band played with them in Connecticut like 2 years ago, and fucking they were just so cool. And me and Will ran into like the bass player at a Kill Your Idol show. I was like, Will, this is the guy from that band I told you about.
Yeah, great. They're really their record sounds great. I think they do it up in where American Thrills does it. Dude from The World Is a Beautiful Place records them up in like Litchfield, Connecticut, or someplace far out. But yeah, we're stoked. We're gonna play with them on Saturday. We have a weekend with them and this other awesome band from Connecticut called Zombie. Our buddy Jeremy's in Zombie. He also plays with our buddy Kyle Trocala and the Strangers. So, you know, there's a lot of good stuff going on in like the bars in the Northeast Connecticut, New York area and stuff like that. And another band that I think everyone should check out because I have all their records. We're going to be doing some stuff with them. A band called Nightmares for a week from Kingston, New York. And
fuck yeah,
they're like, I don't know. If you don't know them, you'll fall in love with all their records. They're just amazing. I've had the pleasure of like touring with them with another band, and Sean Paul actually he tracked part of Don't Panic.
Yeah, he did the vocals.
Yeah, he's in The Inevitables, and he's also plays in Zombie Apocalypse on top of that, which is other Shai Hulud band. So he's great. He's probably one of the most talented people I know. He's a phenomenal engineer. We're so happy with the work he's done, and John DeClario too.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean that's a great list. Yeah, I mean it sounds like you guys have a pretty like tight knit group of bands that you've been like kind of working closely with and like building up. So that's awesome to hear. Last question that I like to throw out to everyone, and I know that people either love this or hate this. So if you only had 5 records you could listen to the rest of your life, what would they be? And since there's 2 of you, why don't we kind of like just go back and forth? You know?
Oh, nice.
I'll start off with this. I was 18 years old at Generation Records in the Lower East Side of New York City, and they had a CD station, and that was the first time I heard Hot Water Music's No Division. And Walter Schreifels produced that record, and I loved Quicksand, and I think that is, to me, that was my entry to the Hot Water music, and it only got better from that point on.
Nice. Shit.
I'm wearing a Propaganda shirt.
All right, sick. I'll do Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes. Propaganda, fucking
brilliant album.
Yeah, I saw them on that tour, and it blew my mind. They played 2 shows in one night at the Wetlands in New York City, fucking matinee, and then and after a night show, the second set they went on at midnight. It fucking ruled. I was like 15, 16 years old in the front row, fucking scream my head off, and I ran on stage and fucking brought him on stage for the encore, just like for no reason, just ran on stage, grabbed the microphone, and just started screaming and fucking.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I definitely am going to throw the Replacements, Tim. That's though. I mean, all the Replacements records. I mean, that is like, to me, that's definitely like as punk and songwriter as it gets with anything Paul Westerberg does. But that record really spoke to me. And well, yeah, I don't know.
Do Megadeth, Rust in Peace. Fucking one of my buddies got a Jeep in high school and came up to me and he's like, "Hey man, I just bought this Jeep and this cassette was in there." He's like, "I'm not really into it, but he's like, I think you're gonna love it." And I fucking put it in my cassette player and started with side B, which is Poison, Cure, and fucking put it on. I was like, "Oh, so this is what Strung Out listens to." So yeah, I was like, that record fucking blew my mind. Like as a guitar player, fucking out of control.
Yeah, and definitely as like someone that like ventures more into like a little more of roots stuff, I guess like I would say Lucero's Tennessee. I mean, like I'm always bringing. I write a lot of these songs on acoustic. I write most songs on acoustic guitar, and definitely that record is just, that's record's like really magic. And really makes you appreciate like a raw cut of a record. And then you listen to them now, and they have like this really beautifully produced records. But those records are so honest, and I think all the records we threw up there are pretty honest. So that's a really important thing.
All right, I'll do Bad Religion Against the Grain.
So good.
Fucking that album's really cool because I don't know if the drummer wrote a song on that record, but I think everybody else wrote fucking songs for that record. Like even Jay Bentley has like a song on there, and yeah, it's pretty fucking that's the best Bad Religion record.
I mean,
that any of them suck, but
yeah, it's tough to choose one from Bad Religion because they have many that are incredible, you know.
Yeah.
The new ones even hit hard.
It's awesome, dude.
I'm just like,
it's fantastic.
Wow. Yeah. I'm like, here, take my money. I want to buy all the colors.
Dude, I'm a Bad Religion fan for life, like forever.
Yeah,
like
they're the greatest, dude.
They're easily one of the best punk rock bands in history, like top 10, no question. Yeah.
What was the last Greg Graffin's Millhouse or Mills? He wrote the solo record, his last one. I forgot the name of the record.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
So check out that record.
It's like the folk
and
songs
the one before
right?
that, the Weaker Thens were his backing band.
Oh, dude, yeah, Cold as Clay. That's a very.
The Weaker Thens were his backing band.
I remember I got that on like my 21st birthday after I saw Less Than Jake the night before. Pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So let's see.
Who's next?
We got two more from each of you. So.
All right, definitely. 24-hour revenge therapy, Jawbreaker. I mean, that was my entry right into Dear You, and when I was like 15 years old, and I was like, it's just incredible how raw it was in Dear You. When I heard Dear You, I was like, yeah, these songs are really good and they sound really good, but that record really is always, I think most Jawbreaker fans gravitate towards that record, like big Jawbreaker fans. I love it, but Dear You is a masterpiece in itself.
Yeah.
Which I own on
Did you manage to catch them live since they've come back?
Yes, I saw them at the what's that venue in Brooklyn?
Brooklyn Steel. Yeah,
I saw them at Brooklyn Steel, and I saw them with War on Women in Sayreville, New Jersey. Nice. And a really cool band from Florida. I forgot the name of it. It was cool though. Jawbreaker only took female fronted bands on that one, so it was like, It was awesome.
I saw them with Charlie Bliss, I think.
That's
nice. Cool. Do Descendants All? I think that's cool Descendants record because it's like a fucking Beatles record. They got like rock and shit, and then they got like pop songs, but then they got like some weird songs on that record. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like Iceman and shit like that. Like so that record is very cool.
I think another one I would probably say would be the Drive-By Truckers, Brighter Than Creation's Deep. I love that band. I mean, I think I've always wanted to be in a band like that at the end of the day, but it's just really great punk rock, country infused songwriting. And they're one of my favorite bands to see live. They kind of remind me of like them and Lucero seem to have like been like these guys that really like to drink and have a good time on stage. So like these really great sounding like sober guys now on stage. It's really awesome. So you see them now and they're just like, every time I see both those bands, it's always been like, wow, these guys are just like unstoppable. As they get older, they just got better with time.
Totally.
Is that your last one?
That's my last one.
Oh, I got one more. Do Diesel Boy, Sophie King Cool.
Oh,
awesome.
Yeah, fucking love that record. I think I got Cock Rock like in the store. I fucking saw it and I was like stoked. And then I ordered Venus Envy, but then like I got Sophie King Cool, and it was like the production from Venus Envy into Sophie King Cool. I think they got a new drummer on Sophie King Cool too.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, and that fucking yeah. Melanie Banks, fuck yeah. And then the ending, fucking with the
violin,
the symphony. Yep. Yeah, so I'll go with fucking Diesel Boy.
I'm really glad.
Talk about underrated bands of like all time, like clearly.
Yeah, Diesel Boy was one of those bands that I was. Well, funny story. So my old band California Redemption, who used to play shows with Next to Nothing, we actually shared a rehearsal studio with Diesel Boy for a number of years.
Wow,
and
that's fucking wild.
Yeah, we got to know them a little bit. Great dudes, and I 100% hard agree with you. Like very underrated, like pop punk band from like that era that, you know, like whenever they get brought up, I remember like whenever I see them online get brought up, people are like, oh dude, Diesel Boy, whatever to Diesel Boy. And like, so everyone loves them, but they never really achieved the same status as like, you know, like NoFX or like the bigger names on Fat, but they were easily just as good as any of those bands, you know? Like
yeah, in my neighborhood, like, you know? All like the kids that skated, like we all fucking loved, like in my fucking neighborhood, everybody loved Diesel Boy. Like we all just thought they were like
Bracket too, another great like,
Bracket, exactly.
Bracket, another great band that got like shifted under the radar with like all the Fat hypeness, which, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm a Fat enthusiast, but definitely a great band. Those guys write like really great songs too. Do you remember a band called Benton Falls?
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah,
I know Mike Richardson. Yeah,
I remember like we played with them and they stayed across the street at SUNY Purchase from where at with Jay, who used to be in my old band, and we were talking at night and he was telling me, he was like, yeah, he bought his SG from one of the dudes in Diesel Boy.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, those guys are from the same hood, like Santa Rosa, California.
Santa Rosa.
Yeah. No, Mike Richardson's great, super talented dude. Benton Falls was awesome.
In LA, right? He's like he writes music, right?
Yeah, I know he lives in LA now, and I know that he's doing some music stuff, but I don't think he's really doing anything like, you know, like going on tours or anything like that, you know.
Yeah, we played a couple shows with them. Like, it just happened to be we were on both shows that weekend, and I was like super fan like the Emo Diaries and their records were just like, it's definitely one of the best three pieces I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're a pretty storied band from that area. Santa Rosa and like that North Bay music scene, especially like from like the mid 90s through like I mean, even now there's still a ton of great bands, but like it's always kind of been like this spot that's had a lot of really talented musicians, and some pretty notable bands have come from that area, like Diesel Boy, Bracket, Velveteen, Benton Falls, you know, Tsunami Bombs from there originally. So yeah, it's gotten a lot of attention in that regard. But yeah, Will, Justin, been awesome having you on the show. I'm again super stoked to be working with you guys. I think Don't Panic is a fantastic record. I can't wait to see what you guys come out with next. You know, stoked on your guys' new shows, and we'll get you on the road here soon, and hopefully talk to you guys soon.
And to Andy, thank you and Sell the Heart for everything you've done to make this all happen.
Likewise.
It's been a great experience.
The pleasure is literally on this side of the table.
Yeah. Well, and you know, we got to give a huge shout out to David and Engineer Records too. You know?
Oh hell yeah!
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah. So he's helping out with a ton of stuff. So big props to him. But we'll talk to you guys later.
Have a great one, bud.
Later.
Your hand